So, hello everyone. Hope you're still awake, and hope you are here for the last presentation for today, which is the Dude. And after that, Kasper's and his guys are doing the raffle. So, the Dude is not dead is the theme of this little presentation, and it's been a big discussion what's going on with the Dude. There's no development, there's no updates, there's lots of bugs and all that stuff. I'm not going to talk about that. But in our company where we use it, it has a certain state, and we've built a little image that should represent the status of which the Dude has in our company. So we actually call it the walking Dude, which is a little bit related to also the changelog comment that was on a changelog from MikroTik a while back, which states that the reports of my dev have been greatly exaggerated. So that's the way what we think about the Dude as well. It is working, and I'm going to show you a few bits and pieces how we get around problems and bugs and how we make the Dude working. So I know you're all a little bit tired and we're a little bit over schedule, so I'm going to rush through a few slides. Well, who am I? I'm David from Germany. I'm a founder and CTO of the company called MikroTik. We're based in Eastern Germany. I'm working in IT since 2001. Since I got in touch with MikroTik, I got really enthusiastic, and it hasn't changed. So I'm spending a lot of time trying to figure out things, even day in, day out. Even if you have problems in customer networks, I just grab a little map or HAP light and try to solve a problem for a customer, and then we implement it in bigger scale. I've been using MikroTik for a few years now, but I got my first training this year actually in the boot camp with Barry and all the other guys. And they also talked me into about, hey, you did well, get a trainer. So I did the trainer, extended my stay in Riga and became a trainer. I've lived and worked in Ireland, USA, and Berlin, and all that stuff. A little quick about our company. We're a local wireless ISP. There's still a lot of rural areas in Eastern Germany, and we provide wireless ISP access with mostly MikroTik stuff. You will see that we also have some other equipment. We also provide wireless solutions from hotspot solutions, companies having big manufacturing production centers that need lots of access points for their mobile barcode scanners and things like that. We're also building, planning, and setting up licensed and unlicensed backhauls for wireless radios, like in the 18 gigahertz and bigger ranges. Yeah, hotspot solutions. We're also building VDSL fiber and coaxial solutions. We have a few local coaxial providers where we provide backhaul access, and that's where we actually do most of the monitoring. And to give you a little quick view of the objective of the presentation for today, well, I'm not going to do an installation instruction. It's in the wiki. I'm not going to tell you how to enable Dude or how to install it. Has been covered multiple times. I'm not going to do any history talk. Has been done every and so often as well. What has changed in Dude? Well, the past few months and years, there hasn't anything changed. We're not bullshitting about bugs. I know that there are bugs. Everybody knows that there are bugs. So if you wonder when there's updates and bug fixes coming, go ask Kasper. He's with MikroTik. He might tell you, might not. I'm going to talk about why we choose actually the Dude and how to extend the usage for non-MikroTik equipment, which is also pretty important because yes, you can run a full big network with MikroTik only, but there are options and requirements for customers also, like license band, where we use like most of the time SEIA or SAF Technica, which is a Latvian company as well. So you cannot use MikroTik because they don't have any license radios. I'm also going to show you a little bit of Slack integration because that's one of the tools we use in our company for turning monitoring alerts into an actually task for one of our technicians to go into it and to create a thread and things like that. And I'm going to show you quick stuff about custom functions that you can build. So the quick questions here, why we choose Dude. Well, it's really fast to install. It has a pretty simple, easy configuration. There's no, like, as you remember, lots of people know the Nagios or Izinga, and you have all those bloody text files and you need to edit them and check them if they're working or not. With Dude, just install it, enable it, and if you want, you just do an auto scan your whole network, and it will find most of the devices, and then you just arrange them on your maps, and you have Dude running, and you have a basic monitoring. Good things for us that we requested as well was notifications and alerts. There's different types of notifications you can do. You can do SMS, email, or Slack integration, which I will show you later. Also central package management, but this is related, of course, to MikroTik only. We haven't figured out, actually you can with custom functions, but with the built-in utilities, you can manage and upgrade all your router OS hardware in your network. If you monitor it with Dude, you can update it there. The custom functions and probes, which made us really happy because there is some flexibility we need to build into our network. At few stages I will show you where we created this probe on purpose because and why we required it. And also, well, you get nice visualizations and maps included. And every map, you can just upload it, Google Maps, screenshots, arrange all your antennas, and you have a nice view where your antenna is failing at which customer location. And, best in all, it's totally free. We talked about the free Dude option. We talked about it to Casper a while back, and I said, well, I think there's lots of people that would actually pay money if they would move on to the development. Well, it didn't work with MikroTik. So, why we choose the Dude? There's one example I want to show you is like, is the simple wireless link overview. If you have, for example, an SXT SA station, and you connect a few SXT antennas or SXT SQ lights or whatever, you have everything built into the Dude to see some basic information that make you happy most of it, what you see. But to work them properly, you also need to enable SNMP. I know there's some security talk going on earlier about the SNMP. Well, we have a management VLAN in our network, so it's all separated from the customers. The customers do not have access to SNMP services. It's only available from the wireless side of the antenna through a special VLAN, which is not accessible to the usual interface that is on the antennas. And all in all, if you add 3 devices and you add some links, this is what you get. And you see where the antenna is connected to the sector on top. You see the antenna the level which it receives its signal, and also the current RX rate, the TX rate, and also the maximum throughput it can handle. And I've digged around in a few auto monitoring tools, and this can be done in actually like less than 30 seconds. Just add the 3 devices, add 2 links, that's it. I haven't found any auto monitoring tool where you can do that quick with getting this amount of information. Because if you hover with your mouse over all those informations, you're also getting already bandwidth graphs included. You don't have to set up anything. It's all done in the background by Dude. Another thing I told you earlier was the central package management. You can also upload to the Dude. You need, for all the devices that you have, upload the if you have the ARM or the MIPS firmwares devices, you need to upload them to Dude. And you also can have multiple versions lying on the Dude, and you can pick actually which version you want to have updated. And at the end, there's a simple device view. And I have to say I used Dude for a few weeks. And it took me a few weeks till I found this window and that you can actually right-click and that there's an upgrade option, because the upgrade option will only show if you have uploaded the firmware. It's documented in the wiki how to upgrade, but it doesn't tell you, well, the upgrade button is only there if you uploaded the firmware. At the other hand, it makes sense, of course. So, for example, this is a bit older screenshot. I've uploaded 642.3, and you can go right-click onto the device view and just upgrade all the devices. You can also select multiple devices and right-click upgrade, but I don't recommend it. Because if you have a sector antenna and 5 to 10 clients connected to it, and you start an upgrade, and the sector antenna is faster than the client antennas, well, won't work. And if you have a big problem, they hang at the boot, and you need to drive to the customer or to call the customer and tell them, well, please restart the antenna because we tried to make an upgrade and it didn't work, and it could happen that you have customers offline for the rest of the night. Also, a nice built-in feature in the Dude is that you have a central overview for wireless registrations. So, for example, this is just a sample. Because of the GDPR and Deutsche Datenschutz, not really great in Germany at the moment. It's making big trouble. We have to hide all the customer information that you can read somehow. So I had to move all the rows a little bit closer to each other. But in general, the focus is more on the TX and RX rates and on the signal levels. So it actually shows you who's an AP, who's a client antenna, what TX RX rates it's got, and what signal it's got. So if you have a customer who has a problem, you can quickly check in there, sort by the device name or even filter by the device name, and check, okay, is this RX TX signal okay? Is this rates okay? Maybe, maybe not. Which is a great feature for us. Also, we have some core routers which are doing mainly our PPPoE dial-in. And the way we handle it in our company is we have a core setup, we have a radio server, all our customers login information are stored in the radio server, they're stored which bandwidth they get, and then they're connected to the PPPoE server, and we are creating dynamic queues for that. So all in all, if a customer has a problem, there's a nice view actually in Dude as well, which is the simple queue view. And if a customer calls in, oh, sorry, my son making big trouble. He can't play online Xbox. You can go in, sort by the queue, by the TX packets and or the average rate, and check, okay, sorry dude, you got a 30 meg line, but your download is fully maxed out. Something is happening on the network. You don't need to dig around anywhere big time and look, oh, I have to check the antenna, I need to check that and this and this. Just look in there, filter out the customer's antenna, and check what's going on in a really quick overview. Another nice part, and we just recently tested it out, and I thought I want to show you because the classic way we did it is we have email notifications and we had previously Java notifications, and SMS didn't really work out well because of bad receptions, and you have Wi-Fi calling. Well, you don't receive SMS with Wi-Fi calling, so we've tried to figure out another option. How can we receive messages but also track if somebody's working on it or if somebody started working on it or what is the status. So there's a website called Slack. I'm not telling too much about it. It's basically a team collaboration software website, and it's used for we use it for internal support communications. So, for example, like I'm out of office, and one of my colleagues receives a message from a customer. He can just leave me a note there. Yes, I know you can do that with WhatsApp, but with WhatsApp, for example, it's a bad problem. We have a WhatsApp group, and there's lots of new messages coming in. I cannot relate any further messages how they are related to each other. But in Slack you can do, you have a message and then you can start a thread out of that message and talk only with other people within that certain message. I will show you later. So we use this mainly for our monitoring notifications because it notifies us on the mobile because there's an app. It notifies you on your browser because there's a Chrome plugin and things like that. And also out of the notifications that you get in Slack, you can create reminders. So, for example, okay, there's a monitoring issue. I know I have to work on that, but I want Slack to remind me 30 minutes later. You just click on it, say, all right, remind me, and it will pop up. Dave, you haven't edited or you haven't worked on this message. So what you have to do to connect the Slack to the Dude is actually quite simple. You register on slack.com and you need to create a new app. It's a basic menu. You have chat groups on the left-hand side, and then there's apps. And within the apps, you just say, okay, I need to add a new. I want to add a new app, and we need a hook. And Slack uses hooks actually for inbound and outbound messages, so you can communicate with Slack through the hooks. You just go into the app section. I'm sorry that it's in German. I couldn't tell Slack to show it to me in English. So, on the other hand, the interface is really simple, so you will find it anyway. And we just look for the hook, and at the bottom you see there's an outbound webhook. You see I've one already configured, and you just add a new outbound hook, and in the outbound hook you can tell it, okay, what is the name of it? And also what the label is. The label is just basically for the background, where when you have like multiple apps, you can say, all right, this is my monitoring hook for customer 1, for customer 2, customer 3, and your notifications going to different channels and things like that. And you can give it a name, like we call it the MikroTik Dude. And then also you have to select which channel. So if you remember like old IRC times or old chatline times, Slack works the same way. It has like multiple channels, and we just created a channel called #monitoring. And then at the bottom, it generates a web URL for you, and you need to copy and paste that because you need to create a notification. So to create a new notification within Dude, on the left-hand side, there's notifications. You just go there, click Add New Notification, and then you tell it what is the name of the notifications. For example, we called it Slack notifications. And then you need to paste in a little script snippet at the bottom. And within that, there's URL hidden. And in the presentation, I've also integrated the full snippet. So if you want to try it out later on, just go to the MikroTik MUM site. You will find the PDF, and you can copy and paste it, API snippet for you. So we created a new snippet for notification, and all it does is it says, all right, it does use the tool fetch command in the RouterOS scripting command, which actually makes it happen that it calls a URL and we post some data in it. And the only thing it does is there's a payload at the end which calls its service probe name on device in the device status. So what it tells you is, okay, here my server, Berlin, his SNMP status is down. Yeah. To use the new notification, it isn't enabled by default. There's different ways in Dude how you can enable notifications. In Dude, you can either create a notification setting for a whole map. You have a map and lots of devices, or you can also select different notifications for different devices. For example, I don't want any notifications for our office printer to tell me that it's up or down. I don't care. If it's down, it's down. Maybe nobody's in the office. But if I want for a server the new notification, you just go into the polling settings, the notifications at the bottom, and you will see then, okay, there's a new notification option called Slack notification. And you tick that. And at some stage, when the status of your polling services, or for example, ping is down, it will send out some notifications which will similarly look like that. So for example, we have there to the top right, service HTTP on MSN device router is now down because of timeout. Yeah. There's different statuses that can happen for down. at this stage, the HTTP server, I disabled it for the presentation purposes. So, but in general, that's the way the Slack interface will then look like. And on the right-hand side, well, I cut it off a bit too short, but you don't see it. For each message, there's a button then, and then you can trigger a button, say, all right, I want to start a thread, and then you can leave, or your colleagues can leave notifications in there and say, all right, the web server's down because somebody crashed it, or there's a bug and somebody has hacked it, and you can follow up and make a nice forum thread and talk about it, what is going on there. So that's how we integrated Slack into the Dude monitoring. To get a little bit deeper about the custom functions, one good thing about the custom functions is that, like, Dude has a lot of built-in functions, but they are mostly focusing on MikroTik. They're not focusing on third-party devices or on special use cases. I will show you a quick screenshot in a second where we require some extra data. So, for example, I need to pull some data from a non-MikroTik equipment. I didn't mention the bad uname, but for example here we call we query the data for Mimosa B5, B5C, and they have so-called physical and MAC rates. Who's not too big into them? The physical rate is actually when you have two antennas, they're connected to each other, they're sharing this information. Okay, 800 and 480 megabits, but that's not actually what physically goes through them, because they do something different. They have a so-called MAC TX and RX rate. And this is based on a calculation. I can get the physical TX and RX rate from SNMP, but not the MAC rate. And one of the purposes why we need to monitor that was, this was like one of the links, and every and so often, the 5 gigahertz just broke down and it didn't work anymore. And we had like 12 megabits of throughput on that whole link, which was way too less. And we cannot replace it, which is not a problem, but we wanted to monitoring the physical MAC, not the physical rate, but the MAC RX rate. So we needed to create a custom function that pulls the data from SNMP, does the calculation for the actual MAC rate, which is shown there, and then we use that function to represent it in the Dude. One of the reasons why we do it actually by functions is, if you have multiple antennas, of course you can create a query and put it into an appearance and say, all right, I want you to show me the physical TX and RX rate. But if and we've seen it on updates, if for some reason an update comes, the SNMP OID changes, you have to reconfigure 20, 30 different links and queries that you have. So we drop them into functions, and then you only have to change one single function to make them work again. So I created a little function here for you that is querying the physical TX and RX rate. This only queries like the RX rate. You have to query that separately. So I called that Mimosa physical RX rate. The thing is, or the question that might come is, okay, why do I have 4 OIDs in there and I add them to each other? It's simple. The Mimosa B5 have monitor, or the SNMP returns the transfer rate, not in total, but for every chain. And the B5 and the B5C have 4 chains, so you need to grab each of the chains, multiply them together, then you have a physical RX rate. For the TX rate, you do the same. It's a different OID. It's documented on their website pretty good. This way, I have the physical TX and RX rate, but I want to show in my links the MAC RX rate, so the actual speed that can go through it. So we need to calculate that, and that's one of the good things that works with MikroTik really great. Again, this is like one of the options I haven't seen on another monitoring tool where I can do it that easily. I just created another function that I called Mimosa MAC RX rate, and I actually used the previously created function, which is called Mimosa physical RX rate, and then I need to multiply it by 0.5 and multiply it by 0.7. just to give you a quick overview why we need to calculate, that's the way Mimosa calculates, for example, the MAC rate. I don't know if any of you have used Mimosas. Have you used them? Okay. Well, there's a thing for the TDMA, which is the split rate. So you have an up and down, and you can tell it, okay, I have a split rate of 50-50. Yeah, so 200 megs up, 200 megs down. But you also can do it 30-70 or 70-30. So 100 up, 300 down, or 300 up and 100 down. The first parameter, the 0.5, defines actually which one is the split rate. So, for example, the 50-50 would be the value 0.5. Again, this is documented on the Mimosa forum and wiki and things like that. And the second is the actual, multiplied by 0.7 is the TDMA rate. So they have a TDMA size of 2 milliseconds, 4 milliseconds, and 8 milliseconds, and they have fixed values that you need to calculate the actual MAC rate. So I just grabbed that from their website and made a quick math calculation, and that's about it. So I have all the 4 functions now. Now, when I create a link from one device to another device, I can change the appearance, and I can edit the label text in the middle. And all I do is now that I change the label text to show me the RX and TX bitrate, which is the current bit rates, the signal level I want to show, and also the rates physical and rates MAC. And later on, if you want, you can also copy and paste the code snippet, but make sure you double checked. So this is like another snapshot of our dude for 2 Mimosa links we have. And you see at the top the current throughput, which is the current speed that goes, data that goes through. You have the signal level, you have the physical rate, and you have the MAC rate at the bottom. So this way we can see now, without logging into every Mimosa device, what is the actual physical the MAC rate, because you can't get it by SNMP. You just create a function which calls that, and you can reuse it all over in the dude. Another quick example, it also works with other, like the light beams and things like that, which has also different OIDs for the actual available throughput. The one thing here is, if you query for other vendors, sometimes they have the problem that they give you the max available throughput. For example, this link is able to do 100 megs up, 100 megs down. One of them antennas we use gives that in bytes, or sometimes in kilobytes, or sometimes in kilobits, and depends on the vendors. So to get the proper megabits, we grabbed the OID divided by 1024, and then we used also the round function. Otherwise, we would have comma, blah, 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 blah. So all in all, it can also look like that. So you have the RX and TX rate that goes currently through it, and you have the capacity that is available, and also the signal. Kasper's told you earlier on about the WAP and the LHG. They have been updated to show you some MCS and some signal levels now. So currently with the built-in functions, the dude isn't manual or automatically showing you information about the WAP and the LHG because there's no update. But you can query the MCS and signal level as well, and you just edit the appearance of that link that you created, and you paste in the label with the SNMP results, and that's like one of the good things in Dude as well. If you need to find SNMP labels, you can just right-click on every device, and there's an SNMP walk option. Yeah. So you can walk SNMP, check for all the results, and check which value you actually want to get. So for example, I don't want to spell them out, they're really long. Those are like the OID parameters for querying the MCS and the signal level. You can find them on the wiki as well. to make it more useful for other admins as well, we have a client that also uses the Dude, where we implemented it for him for his administration, and he also wanted an option to monitor all his PC clients, but he also wanted to manage them in a simple, clicky way. So they had TeamViewer implemented in their company, and they use the free version, but it can also work with tight VNC. So what you can do is you can create a custom tool, and in the custom tools, for example, I called this one TeamViewer, and then the path where this file actually relies. This is related. This path is related to where you have the Dude client installed. So it's not. This path is not related to the server actually, because on rotoboot there is no CW /. But for this example on a PC where the Dude client is running, the TeamViewer actually lies on C, and then you just give it the parameter -i, which is the ID of the TeamViewer client, and -p for the password, and you can store them in the custom fields that you have available for all the devices. So in each device you have 4 or 5 custom fields, 3 custom fields, which you can use for your own purposes. So what we did is we told the customer, all right, you have custom field 1 and 2, and in customer field 1 you put in your TeamViewer ID, and in custom field 2 you put in the password. So admin is pretty happy. He just needs to right-click Tools, click TeamViewer, and it opens up. He doesn't need to memorize any ID, any password, or anything. I rushed it pretty quick for you. It might have been longer, but I see a lot of tired people and you're waiting for the raffle, so all in all, if you have more questions or if you want to have a chat about the Dude, you'll find me with Barry and Ron or the other guys in the room next door. So after the raffle, there's some socializing going on. So if you have some ideas or if you have some questions about the Dude, I can show you some more stuff if you want. We can look into our live setup as well if you want, and I can show you some tips and tweaks how to make the Dude more alive. So I hope everybody gets in touch with MikroTik and asks them to keep up the development of the Dude. Maybe something changes. So if you want to get in touch, it's our company website. You can find us on Twitter, on Facebook, email. Quick special thanks as well. Otherwise I wouldn't be here. Is to my wife and my kids, of course, the bootcamp trainers. Don't know, is any of them here? No, they're next door. So if you want to have a good experience, I can really, oh, there's one. Hey, Manna. It's like one of the trainers. If you want to have a really good experience of training, grab access to the next bootcamp in Riga, okay? I've been there in July. I'm going to be there in November again as well, so might meet up again. If you're up to some training, go talk to the bootcamp guys and get a spot. It's a really nice experience going to Riga for 1 week. Special thanks to Tobias and Scooter Svenny, which is a little insider, and of course thanks to MikroTik. Any quick questions? No? Okay, maybe later. So, I don't know, I'm not doing the raffle, Kaspers is, but he's not here. Thanks guys.